This is Daniel from On the Record Boxing. Delighted today to be joined by co-manager of heavyweight contender and former WBO interim heavyweight world champion, Zhilei Zhang. And we're here with Terry Lane. Terry, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Daniel. Good to be here. Thank you for having me on. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well blessed. Can't complain at all. So for those that don't know, obviously you're the co-manager of Zhilei Zhang. How did that all come about? What was your introduction into Zhilei?
Well, actually, this goes back way over 10 years. Back in 2013, a mutual boxing contact had some relationships in China, and the idea was to turn some of the elite amateurs pro. Hadn't really been done before in history. So Zhilei, with a couple of other Chinese fighters, we helped transition them to professional ranks. Some of the dark part of the boxing business kind of entered the picture around 2014, and Zhilei was given some bad advice, took some bad, went in a not a great direction. I won't say a horrible direction, but not a great direction. And then he needed some help, reached out to us. We reconnected in about 2019. And ever since then, we've kind of helped steer the ship and to get him to the position he's at now.
No, of course. And what was the point where you felt as if you fully believed in him and like there was more to kind of come at the stage of where he was at?
Well, I mean, again, this goes back to over 10 years ago. Chinese boxers weren't really a thing. So, I had a great level of suspicion and, I wasn't really sure kind of what to expect with these guys, but they had been getting a lot of great training from American trainers like Sean George, and just seeing these guys in the gym and how hard they were willing to work and how eager they were to prove themselves on the world stage. That spoke to me a lot. And so that's why we kind of moved forward with the project at that time. And luckily it kind of we still have a few chapters left in the book, but it all worked out.
No, of course. And that's fully understandable. So Zhilei, now at the age of 42, still a big name in the division, still going strong, still highly ranked within a number of the governing bodies. What's keeping him motivated at this stage? And what is the kind of end goal and aim? Is it legacy, financial reward, potential of a title opportunity? What keeps him kind of going at this stage?
Well, I mean, for him, it's the world title opportunity. And again, like the heavyweight division seems to change every month. It's just this game of musical chairs. It's this game of osmosis, but he's still very much in the mix, as you pointed out. I don't know if you're aware, but he actually had a previously scheduled operation to remove bone chips and calcium deposits in his right elbow that has been bothering and plaguing him for his entire professional career. So about a week after the Kabayel loss, he did that procedure in China. It was a surgery. It was pretty intensive, but he's experienced great relief now. And for the first time in over a decade in his professional career, he has no pain. And we're just rehabbing that all the way, but it's going really well. But again, so after putting this behind him, he's still very much in the mix, as you mentioned. He's still a big name. He's got great opportunities out there. And, that's but the idea of fighting for a world title is still what gets him in the gym every day.
No, I mean, it's fantastic to hear about his recovery as well. So just kind of touching upon that Agit Kabayel loss, obviously I was there myself in Saudi Arabia, and it was a fantastic performance, a fantastic fight, albeit not the result obviously you would have wanted. What was the viewpoint in terms of where you guys felt what went wrong in Riyadh?
Well, listen, first of all, I mean, Agit Kabayel, what a gentleman, and, what a string of wins he is on, and he's going to be a tough out for any heavyweight. I think he's top 2, top 3 heavyweights out there right now. I really do. He fought and executed a terrific game plan. Listen, I think the game plan wasn't maybe the one we would. Let's pretend hypothetically we were going into a rematch with Kabayel. I think we would adjust things to the game plan. We've done a deep dive and a kind of post-mortem on this fight. And listen, a lot went on. We thought Zhilei's power was going to neutralize Kabayel's activity, but Kabayel just was in tip-top shape, did not let Zhilei breathe, literally. And it just, those body punches and that body work just took its toll early. So again, if we were to go into this fight differently, for like a rematch, say, hypothetically, we would do some things differently. But, that's not my job. That's Sean George, our trainer, and Zhilei himself. But, we had the big knockdown in the 5th round, which kind of evened the scorecards. But I think I think the damage had been done at that point. And truly, I just got to take my hat off to Agit Kabayel, and he's going to get a big opportunity in his home country, I think, next, and well deserved for him. Very well deserved.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And as you kind of touched upon as well, he's on a fantastic run as of right now. Phenomenal fighter, WBC interim champion. So potentially, yeah, he could be one in line for the winner of Usyk and Dubois. So just in regards to that, so what would you say that was the biggest lesson that kind of Zhilei and the team took away from that performance as a whole?
Ooh, well, I mean, you try to learn every fight. I mean, I'm not sure, like, everybody, I know that the criticisms against Zhilei, I'm very aware of. He's old, he doesn't have any wind, and that, he doesn't have any stamina, and even people close to me kind of say, gosh, he looks, after 4 or 5 rounds, like, what happens? But I see the guy regularly, spar 12 rounds, no problem, and he works so hard in strength and conditioning. So I think the tweaks to the camp would be, again, with this specific fight, maybe a different approach to some of the sparring. And again, just maybe having a plan A, B, and C, but willing to pivot and execute plans B and C more quickly and better. But again, you do your best and you try to learn. But I think maybe some slight tweaks, nothing major. I wouldn't say there's any major, reinventing of the wheel that we need to do here. But again, we just feel refreshed and relieved after this procedure. And now he's able to work harder in the gym and sparring and do different things. But I mean, that elbow, again, this is no excuses at all, but that's been plaguing him for quite a while. I mean, he had all the success against Joyce. The Joyce fights is when, like, that really started to get very painful for him. And it just got to another level. But again, I don't know. I don't really think that would have made a difference in this fight. But now we can actually implement some of the better training techniques or different training techniques, different game plans. Now that he's kind of, it's like he feels like a new man now with his shoulder not, or his elbow not, being in pain.
Yeah, of course. So, and obviously, you just touched on the procedure and the injury. So away from that, so how is Zhilei doing now, physically, mentally, following the last 4 months on?
Well, I think it's always tough mentally getting stopped in a fight. It's one of those different kinds of stops. Like Andy Clark would call this a type 2 knockout, not a type 1, where he didn't get hit on the chin and wake up in the locker room. I mean, this was over a course of rounds. It just took things out of him, and then ultimately the liver shot. But I think that hurts you psychologically. But he's in good spirits. He's back in the U.S. He is back in the gym. The rehab on the shoulder, it did take a couple months, but it's still ongoing. But he's now gotten back and reintegrated the boxing training in. So again, he's back to. I think he's in a better physical condition now than he was years ago, just based on that procedure. So spirits are high, and we're looking forward to what's next.
No, that's brilliant to hear. So as of right now, is he back in training? Is he eyeing a return? What kind of process are we at with Zhilei?
Well, so it has been a dream of ours, his and our team, for years to bring a big fight to mainland China. And in a weird way, after that loss and not having to deal with too much politics with the sanctioning bodies and some of the other promotional kind of challenges and not challenges, but kind of roadblocks we had, we're kind of free to do that now. So, for the last several weeks, we've been really making a push and an effort to bring that big fight to China, his big homecoming. It would be historic. Nothing like this on this scale has ever been done. So we are eyeing a fall return, hopefully in China. Again, the division changes by the day, it seems like. So we don't really know exactly who. We're eyeballing maybe, a list of names, but we got to see where we're at in like a couple months here. But big fight in China is the goal. But again, we could get the call that Fury's out of retirement, or, AJ, they're lining up opponents for. I mean, look, we're in the mix. So we're talking with Queensberry regularly and collaborating with them, and they're very much on the same page with us. But you never know what kind of phone call you're going to get on any given day. No,
of course. And that kind of just leads me on to my next question. So what's the current status with Zhilei's promotional situation with Queensberry right now?
We're with Queensberry. We've got, I think, like technically a couple fights left, but I mean, they're great partners. They have been great to work with. They obviously have all the heavyweights. So, I mean, we're happy where we're at, but we're with Queensberry Promotions right now with Frank, the Warren, the whole Warren clan. I feel like I'm becoming the 18th Warren cousin.
No, of course. And just going back to that point where you were talking about the homecoming fight potentially in China. Obviously, within that, Zhilei's been around the world. Obviously, 4 fights in Saudi Arabia, 2 in the UK, the majority in the US as well. So, How active are you in terms of pursuing that potential homecoming? Because he's not fought in China since 2018. Am I correct?
Well, yeah, and that was a Macau fight, which isn't mainland. I mean, that's I'm kind of getting into the weeds and splitting hairs here, but he really hasn't had that A side main event. He's the attraction. He's never had that really. He's always gone elsewhere, and which is fine. He's a globetrotter, and that's fine. But like, we really wanted to give him this opportunity, and if it works out, we're going to go back. And I know he doesn't have. We're in the final chapters of the career. We understand that, but this is it's going to present lucrative opportunities for him. But yeah. So I mean, where we're at with that though is because things in China are not as easy as the UK or even Saudi. We have some partners there that we're working with. So again, it's going to be a collaboration with Queensberry. Our team, we're taking much more of a hands-on role with this, Zhilei himself and our partners in China to make this happen. And listen, I mean, it could go wrong a thousand different ways, but we're really committed to making this happen.
No, of course. And that's fully understandable. So in the terms of the stage of of the career that Zhilei's at as of right now, how important would it be for him personally to headline in China on his own terms and close that chapter well and for good?
I mean, it'd mean a lot. I don't think I can really put into words what it would mean to him personally, but also he's elevated boxing in China in general. Really, pro boxing was such a different kind of thing in China. It existed, but on such a smaller scale. He'd be really the first elite amateur to come out of the national system, to go to the Olympics, a couple of Olympics. He medaled in Beijing in 2008, which was, ages ago. But then to have this be, I don't want to call it the cherry on top, because if this works out and he gets back in the win circle, there's more fights to come. But like this, what this would mean to his country as a hero, what this would mean to boxing, to future children in China watching this, and now they have an aim and goals to aspire to be like Zhang Zhilei. He's really a trailblazer and a leader in this sport and industry in China. So it's major, and it's hard to put into words how big it would be for on so many levels.
No, of course. So in terms of the overall heavyweight picture as of right now, obviously you've got Usyk versus Dubois, the rematch for undisputed. Anthony Joshua is going to be coming back at some point this year. Fury's retired and then he's not retired. Obviously there's Joseph Parker, a potential Philip Hrgović rematch. Where do you feel as if Zhilei really fits in regards to that, in regards to the division?
Well, I mean, all these, how I feel about the matchups are all kind of different. Because but Zhilei being a big, hard punching southpaw that can box a bit, he's not going to be an easy out for anybody. But like, look, now you have Agit Kabayel, who, I don't want to say he came out of nowhere, but look where he's at. He's a top two or three heavyweight, and then you have Ituama coming up, and now he's the young gun. And who knows what's going to happen? What kind of dance partners Joshua's going to get? What is Fury doing? It's just such a mix. I wish I had a better answer for you, other than I don't friggin' know. But look, Zhilei's never been one to turn down a fight. Obviously, you have like the Bacolis and the Jogbugs out there still. You've got Dillian White's now back kind of in the mix, maybe. I mean, Chisora, he's had this crazy run. I mean, you have names, you have title opportunities, you have kind of the osmosis with the sanctioning bodies. It's like, I wish I could make sense of it, but I think you need like a Ouija board and a psychic, but I wish I had a better answer for you, Daniel.
No, absolutely. And just kind of touching on as well. So for the most part, Zhilei's been, throughout his whole career, Zhilei's been the B-side as well. Within that, we mentioned about the traveling, having to go to Saudi, the UK. Within that, though, would you say that he's been underrated in a sense by not obviously not by yourself, but by fans, media? Would that be a fair assessment?
I think it's a fair assessment, but like I don't think there's really a lot of blame to go around for that reason. Like I said, going back to 2014, I was working with him, and he took some terrible advice, and he went in a direction that was not good. And he was with a scam of a fraudulent promoter for the bulk of his career, and he had no exposure. No, they weren't putting him on TV. They weren't doing press releases about him. Like they knew Zhang Zhilei from the Olympics, but they didn't really know Zhang Zhilei, the fighter, because he had a bad promoter, a fraudulent promoter. And so, when we get in the picture, we were able to kind of weasel it, get him out of that bad contract and kind of steer the ship. And then then it's like we get the opportunity to fight Joe Joyce. We take it. Everybody thought we were crazy for doing it at the time. And then it's like someone just turned the lights on for him. So I gotta. It's not really the media's fault. I gotta say that at the time, Matchroom believed in him. So Matchroom and Frank Smith and Eddie, they believed in him, and they actually helped kind of transition him to that point where until that contract ran up, and then we had the opportunity to fight. George Warren said, "Would you like to fight Dubois or Joyce? What's your pick?" We said Joyce, and that really turned the lights on for everything.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. And just kind of closing out as well. Obviously, again, appreciate that your time's busy. So, in terms of what's to come in 2025, if you were to leave a message for potential fans, what is to be expected of Zhilei Zhang for the remainder of this year?
I would say keep your eye on a big fight in the autumn in mainland China, and we're going to make sure that you can watch it and it gets distributed in the UK and the US and across the world. But a big fight, a meaningful fight that gets Zhilei back in the winner's circle, and then we're going to see what the belt situation looks like and what the biggest fights are for him at that point. But look, heavyweights do have more longevity. Zhilei doesn't have a lot of miles on him. He is older, but believe me, there's a lot more to come, and more big bang, more big knockouts. He's a great, exciting fighter to watch, and I think he's a guy that people pay attention to when he fights. So there's a lot more to come.
Most definitely. Terry, thank you very much for your time. Have a good rest of your day, and take care.
Hey, you too, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me on. Talk again, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Would be great to have you on again. Thank you very much.
We'll do it. Thanks, Daniel. Talk soon, brother.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.